truly believe in the Magic.
Hey, Magic fans, and welcome to the podcast of the Orlando Magic UK. Penny for your thoughts. This is episode number 67. As always, I'm joined by my two very good friends, Garant and Mikey. G, how you doing, my friend?
Very well, thank you, mate. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have advanced, so very happy with that.
You've got a smile. You've got a smile on your face, mate.
I have. And you've picked your team now, I hear.
I did tell you I've been drawn to the Bucs for a while due to numerous friends supporting them and the vicinity of Orlando. Nothing to do with the recent success, the 1 year success. I've had a friend who supported them he had family move out to Orlando in around 2000, and I've heard about them ever since he's been visiting on a regular basis. So I kind of feel drawn to them. And I talk with Kyle about them on a regular basis as well. So I'm kind of drawn. I won't say I support them, but I will be following them.
Well, welcome to the crew.
So yeah, and Mikey, how are you?
Well, if you'd have joined the dark side, mate. Hey?
No errant whistles.
No. Mate, if you'd have joined the dark side and be a Raiders fan, it's basically like being a Magic fan. There's just glimmers of hope and then followed by a lot of disappointment, which has been the Raiders for a long time. So they would have been the perfect team for you, Paul. They would have been the perfect team for you.
Mate, I'm thinking it was either the Bucs or the 49ers, because again, I've got a friend who has supported them since years back. So again, I know all about those.
That's even worse.
Worse.
Worse would have been the Saints. Come on.
No.
Surely you would have been happy if I'd gone to the. Was it the Bengal Tigers or whatever they're called?
The Bengal Tigers.
whatever they are. I don't know. I didn't watch the Raiders game. What are they called?
The Bengals.
Cincinnati Bengals, isn't it? There you go.
They're an up-and-coming team. They're Dan Savage's team. Shout out to Dan Savage. But, there we go. Yeah. Enough about the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are joined, making his second appearance on the podcast, Hank Taylor, the PA voice of the Lakeland Magic and now twice of the Orlando Magic. Hank, how you doing? And thanks for coming on, mate.
I'm doing well. Thanks again for having me, you guys. Always love getting to hang out with you guys. And it's good to be here. Good to be here with you guys, for sure.
And this is putting you in the mood for tonight, isn't it? Because we are recording this as the Magic play Portland tonight, and you are off to the Amway.
I will be. Yeah, shortly after we finish this, I'll be starting to make my way down there. So it'll be good. It'll be a good night.
Superb, mate. Superb. Well, let's crack on with the Magic news first of all. I'm going to fly through this. So, first of all, both Freddie Gillespie and Tim Frazier have now left the team at the conclusion of their hardship exemption contracts. We have seen the return of both Jaylen, Suggs and Mo Bamba to the lineup. Orlando's injury list remains at Michael Carter-Williams, Markelle Fultz, Jonathan Isaac, Etwan Moore, and Wendell Carter Jr. has missed the last few games. All were part of the 3-game road trip, and we saw them involved in shoot-around in Washington, which was encouraging to see. We've also seen Jeff Weltman and John Hammond receive extensions to their tenure at the helm of the Magic front office. That's something that we're going to be talking about at length when we record our next podcast, which is going to be on Thursday evening coming. We have Kobe Price, the beat writer for the Orlando Sentinel, joining us. And in that episode, we'll also be taking a look at the future of the Magic Center position. So it should be an interesting one. Moving on to the games, the Magic lost to Detroit 92-97. We lost to Washington at home 102-100. We then went up to Washington and lost again to the Wizards 106-112. We had the success of the week in Charlotte, where we won 116-109. Excellent performance. And then a bit of a dull one where we played Dallas and lost on the road 92-108 to close the road trip out. So let's get into it. Start with the return of Jaylen Suggs. What have you seen from him, Mikey, in the 2 games back as he comes from the bench?
Well, first of all, it was great to have him back after, was it 20 games out, you said? He's brought a ton of energy. He looks like somebody who's dialed in, who's been itching to get out on the floor. He's bringing a lot of intensity off the bench at the moment. And he's been really pesky on the defensive end of the ball. He's getting to the rim really well offensively. He's shooting 63% from the field. He's still struggling a little bit from beyond the arc, but I think that's just getting reps and getting game time again. And I don't know what you guys think. Do we expect to see him back in the starting lineup soon? Perhaps they're just easing him back in. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think at the minute the starting unit is pretty settled. Although the way he's played in the last couple of games, it's going to be hard to argue against him getting a slot. G, Hank, your opinions?
You've got the saviour to come back as well, Markel.
Yeah. So
that's an even bigger problem. Who do you play of Markel, Cole, Jaylen, and Gary Harris, who's been fantastic, as we've discussed in recent weeks. So yeah,
it's kind of a good problem to have, right? I mean, you've got all these quality guards. I mean, I felt like for the longest time we were stocking up on the big guys, and we were really limited at guard. So it's kind of a good problem to have. So yeah, it'll be interesting to sort of see. I love what Jaylen has been doing off the bench so far, as he's been sort of easing back. Maybe that's a good place for him. But I think Cole also has shown that he can pop up off the bench, and he of course has that energy, right? He could come in and make an impact when other guys are slowing down. So it'll be interesting to see what Coach Mose does as we start to get more healthy, how he shakes up the roster. So it'll be interesting to see.
Hank, I'm going to ask you: do you believe that the talk around Jaylen's struggles to play in the NBA have been a bit overhyped?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think he's showing that he, was taken where he was taken in the draft for a reason. He's showing, that he, is excellent. And you can look across the league and see examples of guys who have struggled, had slower starts, found the rhythm and come back. I think about like Brandon Ingram is a good example of that. Once you get plugged into the right system and you start to build that chemistry, I mean, you can take off. You can think about guys who, maybe have, limited opportunities. Then when they, get handed the reins, have an opportunity to perform, really take advantage of that. I think about Anthony Simons right now for Portland, who's doing that, who we'll see tonight. It's interesting to see what these guys can do who, maybe have struggled, maybe haven't had as much opportunity. When they, get the right circumstance, get in the right rhythm, get in the right flow, then they really take off. So I think Jaylen will be fine. He's so young. He has, the world ahead of him still. He'll be great. I'm not worried about him.
Yeah. I've liked seeing him come from the bench, I have to say. I think he's the energy he's come back with. He's given a spark to that second unit, which has been where we've been struggling.
Yeah.
Even with the injuries, the starting unit has been keeping going, and it's been when we've broken that starting unit up that we've seen the struggles. These last 2 games, and I know that Dallas isn't probably a great example. I don't think there were 3 players that managed 16 points in Robin Lopez, Mo Wagner, and Jaylen was one of them. The only other player that made double figures was Cole, and he didn't have the greatest of games, let's be fair. So I know Dallas isn't the best example, but in those 2 games, I think Jaylen's produced a lot of energy and he's given that second unit a spark. There's perhaps him being there has been something that's given Mo Wagner the opportunity to perform in the way he has done in those 2 games. I don't know what you guys think of that.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I tend to agree with that. And also, this leads on quite nicely. Some of these foul calls that Jaylen Suggs is getting called on the defensive end are crazy because the kid's dialed in on that end. But we'll let G take the floor on that.
Well, yeah, we know what's coming next. I've called it referee inconsistencies this week, G. I thought I'd be nice and polite that we're talking about, not necessarily bad calls, but we don't seem to be getting a lot of consistency in the officiating. And it's not necessarily Magic related. We've all been frustrated at the lack of calls that we've had, and certainly some very soft ones given against us. We talked about it before. We saw Larry toss for throwing the ball. Have you seen the one last night with Cade Cunningham pointing and celebrating? He got a second. All he did was that point up towards the sky, and he got a second technical and rejected from the game. Oh yeah. And I don't know what. Obviously, we don't know if he said something, but there's no audio that I've seen or heard that's picked up on that. And then against us, we had the full gymnastic routine performed by Montrezl Harrell on the ring, on the hoop. Sorry, and there was absolutely no call about it. So, go on, G. Frustrations, and what would you like to see improved?
It's just what you said. It's consistency. I want to see the game. All the fans that go to the NBA pay a lot of money. They don't pay money to go to see the officiating. They come to see the best players play. So when you've got some officials that do these ticky-tacky technical fouls, get people thrown out the games, it isn't right. It isn't right. And you've mentioned a couple of examples right there, Paul, but I've got a few more. So,
sit back and relax.
It just seems that some people get away with anything, and they normally wear yellow or gold, and whatever you want to call it. LeBron James is a prime example for me. There was a couple of games ago. He was screaming at the bench, "I'm a blank problem." He shouted that at the bench. No technical, no nothing. Game just went on. You've already mentioned Montrezl Harrell doing the acrobatics. Had that been Mo Bamba, probably called a technical. There was a case just after Christmas when we played the Milwaukee Bucks. There was talking at free throw line. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then Robin Lopez had to tell the guys to be quiet. But there's always talking at the line, and the Bucks got to shoot another free throw. Lane violations, I never see them go for us. I always see them go against us. I'm not keeping tab, but you just want to see the games called correctly. You mentioned Kyle Lowry. We don't like the guy, but he tossed the ball, got a technical. It's not what you want to see. I didn't think the game on Saturday against the Hornets, or the Friday against the Hornets, was called very well. There was a particular incident. I think Danielle Scott was talking to Scott Foster for quite a while in the fourth quarter, just trying to get something straightened out. Didn't think that was a great look for the league. But I get, people make mistakes, and people do need to learn, So I just want the league to sort of almost bring some sort of players get technical fouls, they get fined. I'd like to see some sort of a league table for officiating. It might seem over the top here, but any bad calls they make, they it's tallied up on the table. And the bottom so many, I don't say lose their job, but they get relegated to.
Gee, there wouldn't be any referees left if they did that.
Actually, there would, Mikey, because there's no such thing. If you look at that, the last 2-minute report, there's no such thing as a bad call.
That's true.
That's true. That's true.
There's always a justification.
Yeah.
Or what they need to do is find another remedy. This challenge that they've introduced the last 2 years is a good idea, but you've only got one challenge. People keep it in their pocket. They even need to give more challenges and get almost like a fourth official, like they do in the football or soccer, to almost watch the game whilst the game is on. The official can go, was that out of bounds? Was there, contact, etc. And a fast decision can be made, as opposed to, taking 2-3 minutes to go over to the monitors, etc. Because you want the game called properly. And often these games are decided by 1 or 2 points. And it's all well and good being able to have the last 2 minutes where you go and review them. But something could happen in the first 2 minutes, it's not picked up upon, and then, something doesn't go your way. I know it swings and roundabouts, but I do think they need to do something about it. Yeah. Just to cut down on some of the errors.
It's been odd, though, because I can't remember if we said this last week. Your favourite, Mark Davis, went to the mic, didn't he? And he was calling, I think it was a challenge, wasn't it? And he said, our challenge successful. And at the end of explaining it, he then backtracked and did the opposite.
Reverse the call. Yeah.
Reverse the call for no reason.
Gave a full explanation as to why it was a successful challenge, and then gave our opposition the ball. Yeah.
And then you think...
Sorry, Mike, go on.
And I was going to say...
Carry on, mate, carry on.
We've been... it has cost us games. I think... what was the game where we called a timeout with a chance to win the game, and instead of advancing the ball, we ended up having to take the ball inbounds?
It was Houston.
Wasn't it?
Houston.
It's calls like that just... I'm sure we're not the only team to complain about this. It's not like we're blaming all these losses on refereeing calls.
That's what I said. It's not necessarily Magic related. It is across the league.
Yeah.
I would have been fuming last night to be sat in an arena watching Detroit against Phoenix, and to see Cade Cunningham, who is one of the people that you're going to be paying for to go and see. Mm-hmm. We pay to go and see the Magic, but I don't care who you are. You still sit and look at the opposition and think, I really hope that, if it's the Nets, that such and such is playing, or if it's against the Bucks, I want Giannis to be playing. You want to see these players. You don't want to see them tossed out for no reason. Now, Hank, you were game in, game out with some of the officials that have been involved in some of the more controversial calls, because we are seeing one or two brought in from the G League to fill in where there's COVID issues around some of the NBA officials. How do you feel about the standards of officiating in the G League?
Those officials work really hard, and you have how we sit in the G League. We have fans that sit right behind us, so it's we always can hear the fans, giving the officials the works, holding them accountable. But these guys, they work really hard. I think what G said earlier, I think is a great idea. Make more challenges available, or if you want to have them lose challenges, if they're challenging everything and it's not working out. But I think if you have a successful challenge, you should get to keep that challenge pocket and use it again. I think that's a good idea. And it is interesting. You guys mentioned it too. You do see some instances where, a challenge gets called, they go and review it, they overturn it, but then they end up seeing something else and getting you on something else that they didn't see the first time. So, it is kind of interesting, the double jeopardy that you can play with these things. You might be right about the thing you initially were challenging, but when they look at it closer, then you see somebody else, and it all ends up, working out, one way or the other in the end. So these guys work really hard, and they really are some of the nicest people. We get a chance to work closely with them. We have like our pregame meeting. They're always super helpful with us and all the table staff. And of course there are mistakes and things happen, but they work really hard. They're trying to, make it, as good of a game as possible. And ones in the G League, I think are really trying to get into, they're trying to learn, control of the game. You see a lot of times, even in the G League, you can see officials that just let the game go, wildly out of control. You've got players' egos and personalities taking over, and you've got stuff flaring up here and there. I think it's really up to the officials to be in control of trying to say, we're going to keep the game moving. We're going to keep it about the game. We're not going to make it personal. We're going to keep things moving. So really, that's what I see a lot of the officials in the G League really trying to work on, is just being able to, control the whole, all aspects of the game, move everything forward, keep everything professional. And they do a good job. I do sometimes, scratch my head a little bit at some of the things, but they really are awesome people. And it's just a reminder that, from where I sit, from what I can see, you can only see so much, but they've got a little bit of a different perspective. So we're grateful for them, grateful for what they do. They're hardworking men and women for sure.
I'm going to ask you, did anybody, when you were doing the Milwaukee Bucks game, did any of the officials walk across to see how many fouls Giannis had got so they didn't call on any?
No comment.
I'm not putting you in that position, man. You've got a job to do.
but we know it happens.
Paul Foles has told us it does.
It is interesting though, at the NBA level, which is something we don't have at the G League level. They do have officials from the Replay Review Center. G talked about having a fourth ref. They have people at the Replay Review Center who are watching all the games. And at one point during this last game that I just did with them, sitting there in the middle of the game and somebody taps you on the shoulder, hands you a little slip of paper, and they're like, "Hey, this is from the replay center. Next dead ball, we need this announced." And they had ruled a Chris Middleton, a Chris Middleton field goal where it was questionable if it was a 2 or a 3. They called it a 2 initially, and during the course of the game, handed you a slip of paper where they looked at it at the Replay Review Center and determined it was a 3. And so they're like, "Hey, on the next dead ball, we're going to announce this. They'll update the score. We'll move on." And that's how that goes. So they do have more than just the three guys who are paying attention to all of the aspects of the game.
I do think the Secaucus reviewing of those tight calls is a really good thing. I do like that. Like that.
Yeah.
So, guys, the 2 defeats against Washington marked the halfway point of our season. Our record is 8 wins, 36 losses. We are last in the Eastern Conference. We have the worst record in the NBA. Last 10 games, we've won just 1 game. 2 wins of 17 played at home and 6 wins of 27 on the road. What are the positives of this season so far? I'm going to come to you first, Hank. Anything for you that's really stood out as a big positive for the Magic?
Yeah, the big one, Franz Wagner. Love what Franz has been able to do. Love how he contributes. Love just how NBA ready his skill set is. He's really I think shown why the Magic were high on him. Even when, at the time, lots of, folks were saying, why would we go for Franz when there was XYZ available? But I think he's showing now why he's a great pick. Him getting, rookie of the month honors last month, I think is a huge, opportunity for us and a nice spotlight for us to have. But also, you had him on a couple episodes ago, have an Admiral, have a chance to, earn his 2-way spot. I think he is. I think he's an excellent contributor. I think he's shown that he definitely has a very well-rounded skill set. And certainly, he's developing, but he's showing why he is playing at this level, why he was deserving of a 2-way spot. When the Magic needed him, he came up, was contributing at a high level. And showed, hey, like I'm here. Give me more opportunity. We'll make the most of that. So him being able to earn that, I think has been good too. So there's still a lot left to go. I know we're just past the halfway mark, but there's still so much that can happen with the trade deadline around the corner and the end of the season and all that. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. But for me, Franz and Admiral are my 2 bright spots so far.
Mikey, what for you?
There's a lot, to be fair. I mean, if you take the record out of it, I mean, you've got the leap that Cole Anthony's made this season from last year. You've got players like RJ Hampton, who over the last month, 6 weeks, has started to elevate his game off the bench. I think I don't want to single anybody out in particular, but I feel like players are starting to emerge. You can see who we can begin to build with. And you've got things like, you think how well that starting unit played together at the beginning of the season. They were one of the more productive starting lineups in the league. So you've got players like Wendell, who's been really solid. Like I said, Hank's already talked about Franz. Like I said, Cole's been emerging as a leader for this young team. And then you've got these players still to come back yet, which I'm going to let G talk about that because I know he's going to want to talk about the saviour. But yeah, there's loads to talk about. There's loads of positives to take, and we've still got another half of the season to watch this team continue to develop. And you think we've got all these home games upcoming for the second half of the season, we might be able to develop a little bit more continuity if we can get these players back on the floor and starting to develop a bit of a unit with all of these guys put together.
G, go on, mate. What's been the big thing for you?
There's a lot. There is a lot.
There is. I think there is.
Said, you forget the record. I know. I'm not bothered about the record.
Yep.
Because end of the day, we're on to get a good pick this summer, potentially. See how it goes. Cole Anthony's emergence, raising his game as a lead, as Mikey's just said, scoring 19 points a game now. He was at 12 last year. He's a guy who wants the ball at clutch time. So when you get all these players back, you've got draft capital. Hanks mentioned about Franz Wagner. Who thought we'd be getting a 15-point per game guy who could do absolutely everything. He can shoot the ball well. He's great defensively. He cuts. He slashes. He's in the right place. Some of his moves drive into the basket. The one against Dallas, I don't know what he did. He just took one step and he was able to weave in between three defenders and finish at the rim. We haven't had anything like that. So props must be given to the front office on hitting with these draft picks. Jaylen Suggs, we've mentioned earlier, he's just coming back now. He looks very good defensively. But what else has impressed me is his never say die attitude. The record, we've just said, forget the record. We've had very close games. I've written a few down here. We've lost at Brooklyn by 2, at Philly by 3, at Boston in overtime by 5. We should have won that one. At Chicago by 4, against Washington at home by 2, at Washington by 6. So there's 6 games there that you chuck in Jonathan Isaac or the saviour Markel Fultz. It's a couple of possessions. It's a bounce of a ball. And it looks very different. Very, very different. So, no, I'm very optimistic about the future. And, the season, whilst we might not make the playoffs, very good as a developmental season. And, we're just next season. It's all about next season.
For me, I love the way that this whole team, be they guys who've been given opportunity like Admiral, who've come through in adversity, whether it's the young core of RJ, Jaylen, Cole, Wendell, I don't need to name them all, or whether it's the veterans, how they have bought in to the attitude and style of play of Jamal Mosley. He has that team working as a unit together. There is a belief that they are working towards something more. And I think what the coach has brought is incredible. I think Steve Clifford did a great job in taking us from where we were adrift to getting us 2 playoff appearances, and the situation evolved. The club decided to press the reset button. So, I understand why Cliff went. And to bring Jamal in and what he's done player development-wise already through such adversity, I think it's been an incredible job. Like you say, G, the stats, I read the record just as devil's advocate because I don't think it's actually relevant to the season that we've had so far. I think that we have been far more competitive and harder to beat than our record would suggest, than our defensive position would suggest, of 24th in the league. And I think there's been some real positives defensive-wise. I look through stats now and then. There are some stats where we are really, really solid as far as NBA play goes. And I just think that where we are, we've had this road-heavy schedule to start with. We now get time to play in the second half of the season, extended periods at home. We get extended periods of practice as a team. And I think as players come back, we start to see that second half of the schedule really, really benefit us because of the growth that they've had and the opportunity that they've had through the adversity of that first half of the season. I think we're in a brilliant position. I really do.
And there's another positive as well. That little hook shot.
Oh, mate, you've got to love Rolo, haven't you? You've got to love it.
Do you know what's funny, right?
Weapon.
Do you know what's funny though? Is we've got a couple of vets on this thing. And look, we know we're building for the future. It's not like G said, we're looking ahead to next year as well. But there's vets on this team that you want to stick around. Like Gary Harris is coming into his own again now. Like Robin Lopez has his role on this team, and they're perfect players for me that work really well with this young group. And like we've already touched on, you guys have already said it, like everybody's pulling for one another, no matter who's on the floor, who's maybe somebody's taking somebody else's spot, or maybe somebody's getting more minutes. Everybody's out there for each other. And yeah, like you said, credit to the coaching staff for that.
I know we've spoke about this, but I'd be interested to get your perspective. What would you do come trade deadline? Are you happy to see us move people, or would you rather us just stick and see what we've got once this core of players who have been absent comes back in and we see what they're like together?
Yeah, I'm interested to see what we've got. I don't think we've had a really great opportunity to really evaluate that. So being able to really take inventory on what it is that we've got, what works, what doesn't, then I think you could make a determination about, here's where we see a hole. Who can we target to try to go get, or who can we try to target in the draft? To me, it wouldn't surprise me to see them, hold pat at the trade deadline. Of course, I think if you get the deal of a lifetime, you got to look at, you got to take the calls, but it'll be interesting to see. I think this group will want to hold firm. I think we'll be pretty quiet. We'll just focus on trying to get guys healthy, get guys back, see the kind of product that we've got on the floor. Then maybe in the summer we'll be more active about as far as trying to, fill any gaps, address some of the needs. But I think it's what you guys said. I think we're still trying to figure out what those needs are until we get everybody back. It's hard to tell.
So, Hank, as we said earlier, you are off to the Amway tonight, and we are not at all jealous, let me tell you, for the Magic Portland game. Where are you sitting, mate? What's your game seats?
111A, which is like mid-level. It's not the twos. It's not lower bowl, but it's like in the middle. It's like on the same level as like club level, but on the baseline. Yep.
Okay, mate. We expect to hear you shouting loud and proud because we can't be there to do that. So you've got to make yourself heard, my friend.
I probably am. I'm a loud person, I'm told. So
okay. How tempted are you going to be to do the announcements, to join in?
It is. Every time I go to any sort of, the Magic in particular, but really any, I love to go to games. I love getting a chance to. I don't get a chance to go as a spectator much. I usually work, but when I do get to go as a spectator, there is just like a reverence I have for the the presentation as a whole. I love to be one of those guys who's there in a seat as early as possible, just because I love all of the pre, like everything that happens in pregame, getting a chance to watch, warm-ups, all that stuff is really great. But also starting lineups. You've had Paul. Paul does, an amazing job of that. To me, that's like, when I think about what I do, that's like the keystone moment. So I always like to try to be dialed in and like very reverent and respectful of that time, because that's a big moment. That's when things get started. So yeah, it's I whenever I do go with people, they do say maybe are you gonna be shouting and screaming the whole time like you do when you work? I'm like, no, I'm glad for a night off. I'm glad I get to just watch.
Well, if you come with us when we're over in October, November,
you'll blend in.
Expect screaming. Mikey, let me tell you, Mikey injures himself. He gets that hyped.
Do you want to tell the story?
when we all go, I'm there for sure. I'm there.
Good man. Good man. Mikey, tell your story. Tell Hank.
No, I'll let you tell it because you can tell the story.
No, go. When we were at the playoffs, was it game 4?
Game 1.
Game
3. Yeah.
The adrenaline's pumping. Mikey's had
the beer's pumping as well.
The beer's Vanilla Lights. And
I had to carry him home.
No, you didn't. Don't give me that.
Next day when we see Mike, he's like, chest really hurt because he's been going like this, constantly banging his chest.
Chest bumping, everybody.
He has physically bruised himself across the entire left side of his chest from beating his chest like some
a gorilla.
Tarzan.
Gorilla style. Yeah.
He hurt my hand as well from all the high fives we were doing.
I thought it was just from squeezing it, holding it, because he was nervous.
I just get a little bit excited, all right?
No, listen, I get that too. I too am up for a good chest pound every once in a while.
And you managed to lose your voice, didn't you, Mikey?
I didn't have a voice the next day, did I? I completely ruined it. And it just about come back.
Made the trip 4. That part.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Appreciate that. What's the point in going to a game and being quiet and sitting on your hands?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Loud and proud, mate. That's what we always say, loud and proud.
Yeah.
Set the tone.
It's those fans that when I'm working, those are the fans I appreciate. Like for me, it's a lot of, I feed off energy in the room. Even in Lakeland, it's like that. So when people are feeling it, I'm feeling it. I think we feed off each other. So it definitely helps. I love loud and proud fans. That's for sure.
Excellent. And so you've just mentioned that your pre-game tip would be to get in early and to enjoy the experience.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love to try to get in, as early as possible. Especially on a day like today where you're not coming from work or anything else. We have a day off. So trying to get down there. You get a chance to walk around, check out the team shop, just, be in the arena. That's, all that stuff is fun. Get to your seats, scope that out, make sure everything is good. Scope out where you're going to try to move up once the game starts and you get through the first quarter and people don't show up. So figure out where you're going to move up to. So yeah, that's always fun. But yeah, I'm a big get there early guy. There is a lot of pageantry and a lot of stuff that happens in the pregame. That's a lot of fun. And so yeah, I'll take it all in. I mean, you pay good money for a ticket. You might as well try to enjoy the whole experience that you've been afforded.
Walk around the concourse, slap some people in the face, hype them up, beat your chest.
Yeah, exactly.
What can I say? Anyway, Hank, we touched it on earlier. We had Admiral Schofield on the podcast a few weeks ago, who's now signed a 2-way deal with the Magic. First part, how happy you'd see some of the Lakeland players getting their opportunity in the NBA. And second part, are there any players that play for Lakeland? Because we don't get the chance to watch them very often, apart from the odd highlights. Is there any Lakeland players that you feel are on the verge who might get that opportunity? Is there anybody you would keep your eye on that might get that next shot?
Well, first off, Admiral, I super happy for him. I think he just shows. He's been in the G League for a while. He's been a couple different places. So he, I think, has great composure. He understands the business. He knows what people are going through at this level, where they're trying to go, what they're trying to do. So I think, when he gets an opportunity to, get called up on a 10-day, he understands, hey, this is, I'm not just thinking 10 days at a time. I got to think about, how can I maximize this? How can I, show what I can do, turn that into a 2-way. So I think he's been, super happy for him. So deserving. Anybody there, out of all the guys there, I think he has just, one of the best attitudes. He's there working hard. And I think for some of the guys who are there who are younger, look to his effort as an example to say, this is, what it's like to be, successful and perform well at the G League level, which is very challenging. So guys to look out for. Devin Kennedy, I feel like, is very close to coming back. Very close. He's putting some shots up in the pregame. So he I feel like is getting close. I'm looking forward for him to get back, but another Lakeland guy to look out for, Jeremiah Tillman Jr. He is one of the guys who has the size. Some of the guys, who come through there, you would be really good if you were just a couple inches taller. He's got the size. He's putting together some really good games. He plays really well in the paint. He's very explosive, very athletic. So he can definitely have some highlight reel moments. He's definitely putting together a good campaign. So it'll be interesting to see, what he does. I think he's still so green, so raw. But as he just continues to develop, as Coach Joe gives him more minutes, gives him more opportunity. I think he's just going to continue to trend upwards. We've seen him improve already this year. I think he's still got an awesome upward trajectory.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks for the tip there, Hank. Obviously Lakeland are auctioning off the Orlando style jerseys at the moment. There's like 24 hours left on it, so I might have a look what the Tillman Jr. one's going for. So appreciate that tip.
Yeah, absolutely.
So since we've spoken last, you've got a little bit of extra bling, I hear.
I do.
So have you got it on?
I don't have it on. I can go get it, though. I can go get it. You want me to go get it?
Yeah, go for it.
Go on.
Go for it.
I'll be right back.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, here we go.
Got a little case.
This stays on my bedside table. I check on it every day, so I make sure that it's still good. So yeah, this is the case here. It's kind of hard to see, but it does have the logos and stuff for the team and the G League on there. It does have my name on there too. And you open it up, get a little light in there. So yeah, look at that.
Oh, look at that.
Nice.
That's
sweet,
quality, man.
Yeah, this thing is, I'll give you the quick tour. So you've got on here, you can see you've got the team logo, G-League Champs on the face here. All these diamonds and stuff on here are cool. On this side, it's got the league logo and the team name. On this side, mine last.
Oh, look at that!
Awesome.
That's
year,
awesome, man.
And then it's kind of hard to see, but you see the trophy there, and it's got another stone there at the top that's blue. It's like a very light blue. It's kind of hard to see. And then on the inside,
the scores,
the first ever, and it shows the scores of those 3 playoff games that they played to win.
That is amazing. Superb. That is brilliant.
Sits on there like that.
Wow, that is fantastic. So tell us, what was it like receiving the championship ring from Lakeland, and being on the microphone for that, ceremony? And
yeah, that was a surreal moment. It was. That whole opening weekend was, raising the banner. You guys have the banners there in the background. They look just like that. So getting a chance to do that and to have, the ring ceremony, that's a good moment. You've got a lot of eyes on that. We had the G League commissioner who came into town for that. Getting a chance to give out rings. That was really fun. I've never done a ring ceremony before, but that was, fun to explore, putting that together, what that looks like, what that sounded like. So yeah, that was a good time. So for the players and the coaches, to get it was awesome. And then, they gave me mine after the game. I was a little busy during the ring ceremony, so I did get mine afterwards, which was really nice. Those guys there in the front office, the staff, they're like family to me. I appreciate them. So it was nice to be able to, once the crowds had settled and gone, we walked over to their corporate office, which is attached there to the RP Funding Center where they play. And we just had, our own little moment with, me and a couple others who were getting it with the staff, which was really special. So I'll remember that for sure. Those guys, the whole staff there, means a lot to me. I consider them, like friends and family. And they have had a lot of turnover and stuff too because of COVID and the league shutting down. So those that are still there, I think about Hans, the team president, Owen, who works with him. A lot of those guys, Tunji, who's in charge of the front office. All those guys, have believed in me, mean a lot to me. So to be able to celebrate that with them, and have it be, sort of our own moment, that was special. That was really cool.
That's brilliant.
That's
so
amazing.
what?
Amazing.
Tell me. So obviously, there's roster changes. What happens to players who would have won it last year with you, who are on different teams? Do they get their ring on, when they come to the, to play Lakeland, or how does it work?
They already actually, I can't remember who it is now, but they took a ring with them on the road to when they played in Memphis. I think the Hustle. I can't remember who it was that was there, but someone is there, and they took the ring to them and gave it to them. Gave it to them there. So the G League is obviously has really limited travel this year too, which is another aspect of that. They play a lot of back-to-backs, against the same opponent, just to sort of limit the travel, limit the exposure. So you don't take as many road trips as you used to. And road trips that you do take are busy. You're playing back-to-back nights and going from one place to the next. So they're making sure that everybody who was involved, everyone who's entitled to one, is getting one. Whether they come here, whether they go there, everyone that has earned one is going to get theirs.
Awesome.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, mate, since you were last with us on the podcast, you have twice filled in for Paul Porter. The hard work you've been putting in with Lakeland has rewarded you with the opportunities in the Amway Center. So you had the Boston Celtics last season, and December the 30th, I think it was, the Milwaukee Bucks game. Tell us, mate, what's the NBA experience like?
Oh, it's I was talking about this with somebody recently. It's just another level of energy. It's so fun. And this last time, getting a chance to do a mostly sold out crowd back in May when I was doing it, everything was still very limited. They were doing limited in-person seating, but to do one where it's the reigning champs coming to town. It's a full crowd. That's just another level of fun. But doing the Lakeland games really I feel like prepared me for what to expect there as far as the format and the types of stuff that we're doing. It's all very similar. So I felt like I was able to very much like plug right in, feel like I knew what I was doing, feel like I knew where I was at. And felt very prepared. The biggest difference is pace. Everything at the NBA level is so much faster. As far as like the pace of play, it's definitely a lot faster from, I have a lot of, longer drawn out calls. You got to keep those short up so that you can, keep up with everything that's going on so you don't get behind. But it definitely is just a lot faster, more exciting, is the trade-off. You have a lot of really exciting plays, a lot of good energy, and those big moments, really get, you really feel those moments, like the energy and the excitement that's there is really fun. It definitely is. It definitely is fast, but it's so fun. Great opportunity, and I'm grateful for. Again, there's lots of people who have come from the Lakeland team who are there in Orlando now. I think about former Lakeland president Shelley Welks, who's there. Overall, the presentation. Anthony Parker, who was the GM, is up there working with John and Jeff in the front office. So It's all comes back to those folks who believe in me, give me those opportunities. I wouldn't be able to do that kind of stuff without them. So it's an honor to get a chance to not only represent those guys and how they believe in me and where we come from, Lakeland. We're very proud of that. But just to represent the organization as a whole is a big deal. It's a big deal to get behind the mic and represent all of those fans, all of that whole organization is a big deal. Something you don't take lightly. And so to get that opportunity to sit there, have that seat, have that moment, put on the best show, it was really exciting.
I'll be honest, Hank. How much practice did you have for Giannis' surname before that game?
Well, it's funny because his brothers have played in Costas and Giannis too.
Yeah.
Have both played in the G League, so it's not a name that if you announce in the G League, it's not a name that you're unfamiliar with. But did practice it a couple of times in the shower to be sure.
Did you get all the fist pumps from the team before the game and all that sort of thing?
Yeah. At the NBA level, they do that. You have certain guys who will come down the table, try to get as many people as they can. So that's always a cool moment. It's a cool moment. Get to see Giannis too. He's just an incredible talent. So to be able to see him, perform up close, was definitely cool to see. But Wendell did put him on a poster that night. Let's not forget that was a great moment. That was a great moment.
Well, as always, we're going to do our predictions for the week. We've last week, Mikey, kudos to you because you predicted 1-4, and that's exactly what the Magic did. I know we shouldn't be celebrating only going 1-4, but there we go. G, you and I went 2-3, a little too optimistic, it would appear, but not to worry. So. Current standings, Mikey is clearly in the lead now by 7-5. G, you're next, 6-5, and I'm, as always, wooden spoon position with 5 and 6 on the prediction. So the week ahead, we're recording this, as we say, on the Monday, the 17th of January. We next plan to be recording on Thursday, the 20th, and between now and then we have 2 games. There's Portland tonight, which we are at home for, and then we take on the Philadelphia 76ers on the road. So I'm not going to run through. I said you've got all the stats in front of you. I'm not going to run through for everybody what's because
there's a lot of them.
Right? Yeah, you know me. I like to be prepared.
Thorough.
But
absolutely.
But for tonight, CJ McCollum's expected back. They're still without Damian Lillard. Norman Powell's questionable. So where are we going? Let's go with Mikey. We'll drop you first this week.
Oh,
well, you are first. You've got to be first, haven't you?
Yeah. All right. I'm going to go 1-1. We're going to beat the Blazers tonight because Hank's there. So he's going to be our good luck charm. So yeah, I think we'll beat the Blazers. I feel like Cole Anthony's due a big game. He's had a couple of games where he's been a little bit quieter than we've seen of him earlier on in the season. So I'm expecting a bit of a breakout game for Cole at the point guard position. Suggs is going to carry on, and even Franz was quiet the other night when we played Dallas. So I'm expecting a big night from the two of them. Philly, they're starting to click, aren't they? Now, what was it? 9 of the last 10 they've won. Joel Embiid's playing like an absolute monster at the moment. So I just feel without Wendell playing at the moment, I'm not sure when Wendell's due to be back. Is there any update on that, Paul? Sorry.
There's no update, mate. No, there's no update, Pat. It's just that he is, he had been day-to-day. It then went down to questionable, and he's now just listed on ESPN out. So it's clearly perhaps a little bit more than they originally hoped.
Yeah. I think Lopez can help slow him down with his experience that he's got, but I feel like Mo's just going to get shoved around playing against Embiid, who I've been a bit disappointed with Mo, I'll be honest, but I'm not going to get into that.
Don't you think it's got Mo Wagner's name written all over it? Up against
possibly,
Embiid?
he might help. He might help Embiid get thrown out of the game, possibly. But we'll see.
You've got to have that irritant. That's what the boy is.
Absolutely,
he's that wasp in the summer buzzing round you.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I'm going to go 1-1. We're going to beat the Blazers tonight. And I said this last week. We're due a home win. I'm going to stick with that tonight.
Hank,
I'm going to take the same as Mikey, 1-1. I think we'll get it tonight. I think Philly is a tough challenge. Joel Embiid absolutely playing out of his mind right now. So yeah, I like where Mikey's at. I like 1-1.
Graham, what are you doing, man?
Yeah,
where are you going?
I'm going 1-1 as well. I was hoping Mikey would have said
this is going to be really boring this week, isn't it?
Well,
I'm now
feel like
put in a position I've got to do something different.
You don't
I knew I should have gone first.
You don't have to. 1-1. Exactly like what the boys have said. I think we'll beat the Blazers. I think we're playing a lot better with Jaylen Suggs back. Obviously, Wendell's a big miss. Then you move on to Philadelphia. Mo Bamba does play quite well against Joel Embiid because I think they're quite pally, and he's blocked him a couple of times. But Joel will get his, points. So, yeah, beat the Blazers and probably just come up short against the Sixers. But Friday's the one we want. We'll talk about that on Thursday.
I was going to say that we're not talking about that yet. But we know where you want to win. We know, G. We know.
We want to beat that yellow team.
Hey, I do believe it's going to be 1-1. I know that we haven't beaten Portland for 9 games, that we haven't won in the Amway Center since 2015. Their road form. 2015. Yeah.
Oh, against Portland. Sorry, I thought you meant.
No, against Portland. December the 18th, 2015 is the last time that Orlando won in the Amway Center. It's a run. It's a run that we've been on against them, that they've had our number. But I just feel that tonight could be our opportunity. I agree with Mikey. I don't think Franz is going to have another quiet night. I don't think that Gary Harris will have another quiet night. I don't think that Terence Ross can be ineffectual again. And I don't think that Cole Anthony can, particularly when you consider that they have the worst defensive statistics in the league. I know that the game, CJ McCollum back and the guys start. Anthony Simons has been playing some superb basketball. But I just think tonight we've got the win on this one. Philly, since we last played them, they have had such an impressive improvement in their defensive statistics. It's incredible how they have improved. And I unfortunately can't see anything but a loss there. So I'm going 1-1 as well. How boring was that? I can't believe we've all done the same. Ridiculous. So, before we finish, quick affiliate plug. Support today's episode and visit NBA Store Europe Official or Fanatics using our affiliate link in the description of the podcast. Shop the latest NBA gear and Orlando Magic merchandise, including jerseys, shorts and t-shirts, available for international delivery also. Fanatics carry the NFL also, so make sure you're kitted out for the playoffs. Obviously, Mikey, that doesn't include you.
That's outrageous. That is outrageous. Hey, we still made the playoffs, all right? It just didn't last very long.
Hank, who his team is? Who's your team, Hank?
But for football?
Yeah.
The Dolphins. So yeah. But
I'd take the Dolphins over the Bucks. Hank, you don't want to be a bandwagon like this pair, do you? Hey?
No,
I'm following, not supporting.
There's my
98, my friend.
My great grandmother actually worked for the Dolphins.
Okay.
Before I was born, she worked for them during their perfect Super Bowl season. So it's a little bit of a family history for me. My girlfriend, shout out to Tiffany, she roots for the Steelers though. So she was having a rough night last night. She was having a rough night.
Yeah, can believe. So coming back to our unashamed plug, if you are shopping on either Fanatics or NBA Store Europe, please use the Magic UK 10 discount code at the end for your order. There may be some better discounts available on the website, and some exclusions do apply. You can find all the links through the website or on the description of this podcast. So as always, thank you for watching or listening. Please subscribe to the podcast and hit the notification button so as not to miss any future episodes. Make sure to visit the website, orlandomagicuk.com. All the latest news, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. We're all over them at Orlando Magic UK. And all the links will be featured again in the podcast description. Hank, thank you so much for coming on, man. It's been brilliant to catch up with you. Enjoy the Portland game tonight.
Thank you for having me. You don't have a whole lot of two-timers, do you?
No, you're in the exclusive club, man. You're in the exclusive club.
I like that. That's good.
and to be fair, we could say you've been on 4 times because you've done the draft night and draft lottery with us as well. You came on then.
Yeah,
that's true. That was a good time.
You watch party with others.
Yeah, that was a fun night. That was a fun night for sure.
So yeah, but man, as I say, thank you so much. We've really enjoyed your company as always. So until next time, from Mikey, Garant, and myself, go Magic.